All right, guys. So this right here is wild. Now, I did a little search to see if I could find this reported anywhere else. There was only one other website. It was like Arab News or something like that that references this poll. This is from the Truth Project, from ADC, Truly Arab, Fully American. So they ran this poll of 36,000 Arab American voters. Now, to be fair, I don't know the methodology. I don't know if it's like a scientific poll or what have you. But in this poll, number one right now among Arab American voters is Jill Stein, 25%. Underneath her is uncommitted. That's 23%. By the way, that 23% should hop on board with either Cornel West or Jill Stein because it's better than just being uncommitted. Like, be for something affirmative, not just like, hey, I'm against Biden, and I get that, but be for something affirmative. That would be Jill Stein. So 25%, Jill Stein is number one, 23% uncommitted. Then you have Cornel West at 20%. So the top three are all like a massive fuck you. We totally disagree on the issue of Israel. Stop arming them. Stop funding them. Then you have undecided is 19. And then look at this. 7% of Arab American voters now support Biden. 3% say they're not voting, and 2% say Trump. The only way we could have gotten this set of facts is if Biden armed and funded a genocide in Israel. Armed and funded Netanyahu to effectively try to wipe out the Palestinians, ethnically cleanse Gaza, resettle Gaza. Because remember, in the 2020 election, it wasn't really that close. Overwhelmingly, Arab Americans and Muslim Americans voted for Biden. Overwhelmingly. Now, and we saw the polls too, by the way. Remember, it was like over 60% approval, maybe even over 70%. And then it dropped to like 17% after the Gaza genocide started. And that's only going down and down and down and down. So 36,000 Arab American voters, according to this. So look, I haven't seen this report anywhere else. I'm curious if it will be. I'm also curious if there will be more polls done on this particular issue. Because insofar as supporting third-party candidates go, I could see really spearheading that movement would be Arab Americans and Muslim Americans right now in the middle of the country. And by the way, just so everybody understands, there was a poll that Prem Thacker of The Intercept was talking about the other day where 20% of the Biden voters from 2020 in the swing states are like, I don't think I'm going to vote for him over Gaza. And he showed the margins that Biden won these states by, these swing states. And it was like 0.16% here, 0.23% here, and everything was razor thin. And having that many people say, I'm not going to do it over Gaza, that literally means that one issue can sway the election. That's literally what that means. So look, they continue forward at their own peril, not just from a moral and ethical perspective with what they're doing in Gaza, but also from a raw political perspective of how do I save my own ass, right? You got to stop doing what you're doing, bro. You got to stop. You got to go in a different direction. You got to sign on to the ICC case against Netanyahu. You got to make an example of him. You got to reaffirm international law. You got to give the Palestinians a state. I mean, these things are super obvious, but we've never been further from them. And that's why we have a scenario now where Jill Stein appears to be the leading candidate. So, and by the way, just so everybody understands as well, Jill Stein is probably going to be on most of the ballots. Cornel West is probably not going to be on most of the ballots. That should probably inform your decision as well. And as I'll always point out when we have these conversations, we really need to get to ranked choice voting too. Because, and the thing is, if you get ranked choice voting, all these third-party candidates, they become much more viable overnight. Because then there is no more argument for there being a spoiler effect. Like, oh, if you give your vote to the Green Party, it's going to screw over the Democrats. And, there is no more of that. Because you could literally rank it. I want Jill Stein number 1. I want Cornel West number 2. Whatever. Go down the list. And then, in that scenario, you could vote for who you want and still effectively say, but I would prefer Biden over Trump or whatever it might be, right? And that's where we got to get to. So, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens moving forward in this election. But the other thing is you got to unrig the debates. That's a big thing. You got to unrig the media to give these parties a chance. But despite everything that's up against the Green Party and these independent candidates, despite everything that's up against them, this is an example of just raw reality of policy changing people's mind. And again, Biden, proceed at your own peril. I know he's an ideological Zionist, and that's part of the problem, but he's also swimming in Israel lobby money, and that's also part of the problem. So you want to proceed as if everything's all good and this is what people want? Man, You got a rude awakening coming, man. You really do. If this was any other Republican who was not facing fucking 88 criminal charges, Biden would be down by 13 points right now. The only thing that's remotely keeping him in it is that Trump's an obvious criminal and a super extremist, and everybody knows that. It's the only thing that's keeping him in it at all. So we're truly up shit's creek without a paddle here. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.